Hey guys, this is Meeker here. I wanted to talk about the new patch as well as my general thoughts on the new world right now and kind of where it stands and where it needs to go into the future here. In terms of the patch itself, it's a minor patch, but it has some pretty significant changes. They basically gutted Bow because Bow had this exploit, which by definition was a repeatable bug, which was called an exploit where Brain of Arrows could be animation canceled, resulting in you an ability to shoot with more arrows down range. They still didn't nail one of the other exploits involving like doing heavy attacks faster than you normally should be able to, but this is a step in the right direction at the least. They also seem to have addressed the gem conversion change, which was resulting in weapons doing more damage than they were supposed to be able to. In terms of how much damage they're supposed to be able to do, you can see the war balance file, which I'll link in the description below. Within here, you can see Bow was supposed to receive a nerf of about 18% to its damage. It's a little bit over this because the actual equation is 1 minus 1 over this. So it's 1 minus 1 over like 0.1632 or whatever, which is like about 18%. And that was the effectiveness of this change. It was supposed to be nerfing Bow pretty significantly so that you weren't doing an absurd amount of damage. That combined with the other thing was resulting in Bow not taking over the game, but definitely being in a stronger state than intended, I think. I would have liked to see them kind of tune down Fire Staff a little bit, so to speak, because that one feels a little bit stronger right now as well. But that being said, they didn't address things like the Blunderbuss, which was previously in patches a very good weapon, now a weapon that feels like it hits like a wet noodle, likely because of this bug where previously you had a gem that was scaling at 200% for 20% of scaling, and that 200% of the 20% of scaling accounted for about 40 to 50% of the BB's damage as a whole, and that 40 to 50% was not being reduced by this blunderbuss nerf. So that was something that used to exist, does not exist now. You would wish that AGS would tune back this weapon balance damage adjustment because that bug got fixed and BB would kind of see a spot in the light once again, because as of right now, the only thing you can do with BB is basically run Pestilence as an offhand, pretend that you're running BB, but really you're just playing for your main hand and you're using Pestilence to get out and escape, which kind of sucks. BB's gone from this like kind of cool, powerful shotgun glass to hitting like a wet noodle. If you want to use a shotgun, you might as well use a flamethrower right now, and there's no reason to really go in between. There are some other bugs that we don't know if they got fixed or not that will be very interesting to see tomorrow. Inferno has this ability where it can scale with strength, for example, but if you use the strength-based side of the Inferno, you'll notice that your dots don't tick for any damage because those dots are actually scaling with int, not scaling with strength, because the fire staff typically scales with int. This kind of results in a bug that is more likely systemic than what they suggest here. I would likely think that they did not nail this on the first try, so the Inferno still won't be usable for the most part. The Life Taker still won't be usable for the most part. Pestilence still will do no damage for the most part, albeit Pestilence is still solid because it's Pestilence. And it has the ability to apply a dot, which gets you more ult charge. Also applies passive disease, which is very, very nice. The damage part here doesn't apply to your offhand, which isn't super clear from the tooltip. That's a little bit noteworthy as well. There's other things like for SNS, I tend to go for the Butcher. Personally, I put in like a conversion gem in here, and the bleeds within that conversion gem don't scale correctly. So that's something else that did not get addressed. So kind of would have wished to see that one being addressed. We also didn't see any OPR changes, which are very, very frustrating because OPR right now is door PR. We have gone from BowPR to door PR. You're not able to actually break down the doors. PvEers are effectively dictating the entire flow of the game. There are a few builds that like counter this, but they're not very common and they're very cheesy, like 500 con SNS Rapier, run the other team's spawn immediately off the bat, sit on top of the respawn objective so that it doesn't actually get summoned, so that people can actually get in the door before the doors are actually up, because that build is effectively invincible just due to in-game mechanics and some generous kind of mechanics that are involving the Endless Thirst and Divine and a bunch of SNS passives that just allow it to passively heal above anyone's reasonable amount of damage from a solo perspective. So there's like situations like that which are having to occur to counter this. The main reason why this dope PR exists is because you've gone from more or mining nodes going from 3 to 4 hits per actually kill when everything was at 625 gear score. So this was before. Right now, we are at a spot where this is about 1 hit 675 gear score, and this 625 should be 600 because it was balanced to 600 for the most part, but you had some builds that were, getting this 625 because that kind of like ability to have mastery in that class. So effectively people are able to get more resources than normal, approximately 3 to 4 times the amount, which is leading to situations where we're never able to break down the door. This wasn't as a problem as before because people would actually run out of resources, versus now they don't because they can acquire them a lot faster than they used to be able to. On top of stacking effects like proficiency pots, there's a new kind of food that comes to the OPR, which is going to allow people to accumulate even more resources within OPR and allow them to even prepare for longer. So the fact that they aren't addressing this is just like showing that the devs are still not exactly in touch with how that kind of OPR based aspect of the game works, and I would have liked to see that being addressed at some point, either by changing this so this isn't a one hit on every single starstone kind of mode or node within OPR itself anymore. I don't believe the trees are a one hit for some reason, but the starstone are. I might be wrong about that. But it's like in general that gear score scaling has not carried over since the season kind of oriented patch, like the first one, and that's something I think people have forgotten about and just kind of got swept under the rug for a bit, but probably needs to be addressed because it's becoming very problematic right now. Another mechanic that could be introduced to fix this is just allow the ability to counter this like absurd amount of parts that people are getting from an offensive PvE side of things. So this would be like brute being buffed to some degree. This would be like kegs like actually not being able to be killed when they're breaking down a door, or like significantly increasing their HP. Because right now you put a keg down, you get hit by one person, it staggers you out of the keg, you can't actually light the keg gets broken. It feels like a waste of parts, just not worth buying for the most part, and that's just something you have to like deal with. So there's no like counter mechanism to the certain amount of doors that are being built, and it's just frustrating to play in general in that kind of situation right now. In general, I think New World's kind of at a spot where it's like more of a seasonal game. It's no longer a game where you can kind of log in every day. I continue to play New World. You can even see within the last 7 days, like the peaks are tending to go down a little bit. Like it's not too much, but it's going down like every now and then. The weekends are obviously a little bit higher. Now we're getting to like 18k versus we used to be like at a low point of like 24k. I myself have been like warlogging. I've been playing a lot of Power World because Power World's been very, very fun. Definitely check it out. That's already surpassed New World's all-time peak by a long shot. This isn't including the Xbox downloads, I believe, too, which is in total is like about 5 million, 6 million downloads over 1 week, and like absolutely crazy. Fun Pokemon survival kind of oriented game, but there's like definitely a spot right now where I'd say if you are feeling burnt out from New World, definitely don't push yourself to play it continuously. There's clearly like not a very large amount of content. You see within the recent dev videos that have come out where they've talked about, hey, there's content, you're gonna get the ability to match people from different servers, and that's like, that's great, but I can't even queue with my friends from different servers or anything like that. And even if you have that kind of ability, it's not like something that's new. It feels like the same experience. It's just like a faster queue time. It's like saying that your queue time has gone from 10 minutes to 2 minutes, and that's content. It's like, no, we had that before. It's just quality of life because we've gone from 10 minutes to 2 minutes in terms of queue time from a player perspective. From a dev perspective, that is work and that was content, but it doesn't actually affect the player directly, which is why I would say it's not directly content itself. And that's kind of been the sentiment that I've seen in the comments for some of these recent videos involving that kind of stuff. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think of the patch. I don't think there's really anything else here that's super kind of game breaking or anything like that. Maybe some like nice blocking mechanics getting changed, which is nice for me as a tank player, but I think that doesn't affect a ton of people in the game versus this bow change is going to affect a lot. Everything else here is like relatively minor. There are some bugs, so you might see the wing shoes come back into the game. It doesn't seem like they fixed the bow directly, or at least it's not mentioned within these notes, but I would assume that they are close to solving that, or they got solved with this and they just forgot to add it into the patch notes itself. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.